Somebody help me, please. And my phone's down to 19%. I always forget to charge it when I come in here. Aren't we on? We're on.
Which one says computer? That one?
Grab it in my hand, I drink another rum. The vibe that's up in my legs go numb. Wake up in a room that has no dust. Next time I get on set forevermore.
We are live from River West 104.1 FM WXRW. Welcome to the On the Corner Show. My name is Dan, and always I'm with Sheila and Bernie, and we're without Pat today.
Aw.
We're patless.
Yeah, sorry for the technical the glitches again. We just got to get out of the gate better. Huh?
Yeah. Well,
Oh.
I heard, are we on? Are we on? I think that was
We
Sheila.
don't know what that
and I
stuff
think
is.
the song, by the time it started playing, it was playing in the middle.
Right.
But that, again, was Snake Charmer by Rick Schnall.
Yeah, and we had a request to play that again because some people enjoyed it. And SCHNOLL, Rick Schnall. You can find that song wherever you stream your music. So, and again, we'll be playing some more of his music as in the coming shows in the next few weeks. So, but how are you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I was happy that it was finally warm today. It felt like summer.
Oh, it's too warm for me.
Keep your shirt on, please. You're unbuttoning. Why are you unbuttoning?
I'm burning up. What's going on?
Bernie's taking off his shirt.
It smells like lunch meat in here. But it's gross. We got to get a little fan or something in here. It's a little warm, right?
I'm comfortable, but how was your weekend, Dan?
Pretty good. Well, you know, what's interesting, if you can say, how's your weekend now, right? Because,
Yeah.
Because our new time slot, in case, well, if you're listening, you know, we're called On the Corner now, not Rome is Burning. We decided to lighten it up a little bit, right? And we moved our show from Fridays at 4 p.m. to Mondays at 6.
Yep, I like it. It's feeling good. So I wanted to say, one of our listeners wanted to know the lyrics to Rick's song Snake Charmer. I've got them right here.
I bet they're dark.
They could be. Is Rick a dark guy?
I don't know.
Maybe a little tortured?
Maybe a little.
He is our
Definitely a
age.
little torture.
So the lyrics are, walking down the street, see her from afar, invite her for a drink, take her to a bar. Everybody stops, everybody stares.
So far, so good.
Somebody cries, get him out of there.
Oop.
Okay.
Oh, I think he's messing with something maybe he's in over his head.
Get him out of there.
Looking in her eyes, I'm filled with fear. Her tongue flitters as she hisses in my ear. Everybody looks, everybody sees. Somebody come and help me, please. Somebody come and help me, please. Throbbing in my head, I drink another rum. The bar starts to spin. My legs go numb. Wake up in a room that has no door. Snake charmer girl, I'll serve forevermore.
Uh-oh.
All right. I
All
like
right.
that. I do like that.
Sounds kind of like a hot date, maybe.
Yeah,
Do
sounds
you
like he
escape
wants
with
to be
both
tortured.
kidneys?
Actually, sounds like.
Not a great visual on that.
That's one for the holidays. We'll save that one for Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, anyway, thanks for the bumper music, Rick. We really appreciate
We
it.
do. I love that song. Gets in my head.
Yeah, it does.
So we are without Pat today, and so it's only 3 of us, and we have an hour to do. But I
Uh-huh.
think we can get through it. So, do you guys do anything special this weekend? Big dates? Go out? Do anything?
Did
No.
we?
I
don't
think
know.
a big date for Bernie and me is like tidying up the yard, hanging a sail to keep the sun out.
Oh yeah, we had a big date.
Sounds hot.
We went to Costco.
Oh yeah, Costco.
Just easing into.
We got like 10 bags of soil.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
great.
Oh,
Really dominated Costco.
yeah. Drove to Costco and bought bags of soil. Did you say?
We did
Yeah.
because I'm planting plants and I'm selling plants and I'm like I'm already out of soil. I
She's
need more.
planting the plants.
Okay.
What about you?
You had coffee.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't even remember what I did this weekend.
Oh, your friend came into town.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We had a friend from New York, Mark. Yeah.
That's
Sorry, Mark.
right. That's right. Oh yeah, Mark. He was here.
It was a bit of a whirlwind, but I haven't seen him in a while.
It
It's
was
really nice to see
great.
him. So, but yeah, no hot dates or anything. But I can't imagine dating in today's world, though. In case the audience doesn't know,
We're
Um,
old.
we're old, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we came up in the 80s, right?
Yep.
80s and 90s.
Yep.
But yeah, dating today has got to be a lot different.
It sure does. I don't know how they do it. I did a little bit of online dating back in the day before. That's how Bernie and I actually met.
Yeah,
We met on Match.com.
yeah.
Did So you swiped right on him? No, is that how
It was before that.
Match, you didn't swipe.
Yeah.
That's a Tinder thing. And Bumble, do you swipe on Bumble?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Since I'm over 50, I would never use a site called Bumble. I think they're making fun of me.
Yeah.
You mean like the way our intro started? We
Look,
we
Yeah.
bumbled
You're
our way
old
through.
and you're bumbling. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
It sounds like a terrible
You
name.
bumbling fool.
Bumble.
But yeah, so we actually were
Your boy Bumble. Anyway.
your boy Bumble. We were actually talking about some of our worst dates and weirdest dates and best dates from back in the day, since none of us date anymore.
Online dating, or no?
For me, they were both.
Someone tells me you've had a weird first date online.
I had one very weird online date, and I had another weird online experience through a dating app, but I never met the guy. So back in the day when I was living in New York, there was this dating app called Nerve, which was a really cool, of all the dating apps I've ever seen, that was the best one. Were you ever on that one, Bernie?
No, I never heard of it.
You never heard of
It's
Nerve?
very exclusive, I guess.
It was kind of,
Bernie didn't make the cut.
I hate to use the word, but it was kind of hipster.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, Bernie didn't make the cut.
I didn't get a Gmail,
Gmail didn't
address.
exist yet.
You had to be invited. I had to wait till it was general admission. Not hip.
That's
So
funny.
I was talking to this guy. I don't remember his name, but he seemed like an interesting guy. He was an opera singer and he lived in Brooklyn and he seemed really nice. And, I was interested in meeting him.
Would you like to date?
And then if I'm remembering correctly, a little bit of time passed and we weren't really communicating. And I had gone to this cafe with my friend.
Silent.
Somebody went silent. Maybe it was me. I don't know. But I was at this cafe, and later that night, he sends me a photo of myself in the cafe. And I've never met this guy in person.
You
weren't with him though, right?
No, I had never. No, I wasn't
she
with
went to
him.
meet a friend. Yeah.
That's pretty. I'm sorry, I was zoned out there for a second. The whole opera singer thing, but that is pretty stalker scary.
It was stalker, scary, creepy, and then the really creepy
He
thing
sent you a picture.
of myself.
Wow.
So
So
it's
back then he had to go to a photo mat, get it printed.
it was
That's dedication, right? there. That's
Yeah.
commitment.
it was disorienting for sure. It was surreal and it was creepy. And then he made some kind of threat to me, and I, was like, F you, kind of emboldened. leave me alone. And then he sent me one digit at a time. He's typing this, my address.
Oh.
So he had followed me from the cafe to my house, and he knew where I lived.
That kind of thing can get you arrested now, or could you report him to Nerve?
I did want to
HR?
call the police. I was living, I had a roommate at the time, my friend Joe. And I told him I was all freaked out. Joe got mad at me. like I'm inviting this into our home. He's like, great, but I was freaked out. And I don't think I did report it to HR or anything like that, but I was definitely watching my back after that. And it's just not something you expect from an opera singer.
No.
You trollop.
Well, that's what I don't understand. So you didn't get a picture of him?
I had a picture of
He had
him.
He had a mask over half his face.
He lived in
He had
the
a cape.
he lived in the sewer system.
Yeah. When he
played
got
a
mad,
piano.
he'd turn around and walk up, and his cape would fly over.
Played a piano down there with
And
a
I
candle.
was the beauty. Yeah, I did have a photo of him, and I had talked to him online, and he seemed like a nice guy. But I have face blindness, so if he was at the cafe, I wouldn't have known it.
He was
I
an
don't. I
opera-
can't
He
tell
wasn't
from
an
a
opera
photo.
singer. He was an opera strangler.
Yeah, it was definitely scary. Definitely.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, that's
He's. I bet if you Google his name, he's like there's a New York Post article about
when you
him.
said one digit at a time, I'm thinking, whoa.
That it was
Ooh.
really, and you could feel the anger
Boy,
behind
that-
it. I
that
could
is-
I could feel him like angrily hitting the keys. Like I still remember the
Oh, my
address, but
God.
I won't share it here.
Vincent.
Yeah, what was his first
I
name?
don't remember his name.
Probably very sensitive.
I wonder if I still
bet
have
it's-
email.
Do you think it's Italian
heard
or
him?
German?
I heard him.
German.
German.
Yeah.
No.
That's a German thing to do, I think.
Yeah, he must have been
Right?
he sings in
Right.
German.
Yeah.
So that wasn't
Anyway.
an actual date, but that was a pretty
That-
bad
That counts.
online. Yeah, it counts, I think. What about you guys?
Well,
Speaking of digits,
I see my story. I've been thinking about it, and I told it to Dan, and Dan's reaction was, it made me think about it, and I think maybe the weird part was me. So anyway, I met a girl. I think it was on MySpace, and
Wow.
yeah. Anyway, we chatted for a while, and then we met. I think we went ice skating, and
Aw, that's a sweet first date.
yeah. And she was very nice.
is it your idea?
Probably not. I don't think so, because I don't know how to ice skate. So it was pretty, it wasn't exactly fun for her holding me up. But she was very nice. But I think we were in our 30s, and she lived at home, but she had never moved out. She's always lived at home, which
Wow.
yeah, that seemed weird to me. But
A little red flag, maybe?
maybe.
That's definitely a red flag.
But the thing that I couldn't get over was the fact that she was missing a finger. So I don't-
Oh, this is that person? I thought you
Yeah.
were.
Which finger, though?
I think it was her pinky.
Oh, who cares?
Did-
Yeah. See, your reaction's like I don't care.
Did you find out why how?
Well,
like-
that's the other thing is I didn't ask. I think now I would still be repulsed by a missing digit. But
Well, I would see it
now
as
I would ask, hey, what's
I need a
going
flaw to work from. Builds confidence, right?
Yeah.
on? I don't know, man. I don't.
You were being polite. I probably would have been like, hey.
You don't even need your pinky anymore. That thing's evolving off.
Yeah, it's getting
What do you even use
smaller
it
and
for?
smaller.
Yeah, I miss my prehensile tail.
Yeah, well, you still have a tail. Well,
Just
so
doesn't-
she liked you even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember her name, which is weird. Of all the things I can't remember,
You
I'm not
probably
gonna
shouldn't say it.
mention- No,
Your first name is fine.
no, I'm not going to mention it. But so not a fantastic.
We have
story.
7 listeners, Bernie.
Yeah, they're all ashamed of me because I'm so shallow.
Well, I think I have you both beat, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
I don't have many bad dates,
It,
right?
it, it has to be better than an opera. singer.
Dan doesn't have many bad dates.
Well, no, I don't have many bad. I've had.
Dan doesn't have many dates.
That's right. You got to have a bunch of dates, have bad dates.
Dan has.
I just
a lot
didn't
of
have anyone
third
that went
dates.
south I mean, they've all, the bad ones are always kind
Oh,
of,
I remember another one. Oh,
Yeah, that I thought you were going to tell a different one, but go ahead,
yeah,
Dan.
Anyway.
well,
We'll come back to
just-
you, Bern.
so I was I think a senior in high school.
Oh, wow, you were young.
Yeah, it was 1985.
Wow.
And I asked this woman out on a date, and it was Christmas Eve, the evening of Christmas Eve. And she goes, let's go out on Christmas.
What?
Yeah, it was a kind of a big thing.
Already
a lot of
weird.
pressure.
We went for coffee.
Don't you guys have families?
Yeah, I'll get to that. But it was like in the early afternoon, right? So it was
Okay.
kind of festive at the mall. Remember the malls in the 80s were
Yeah.
big. Yeah, you ran to all your schoolmates. and
That's where you
everything.
met people.
Wow.
Right. So we were driving, and it's kind of nice. We got coffee. I think we went to the east side, right over here. Got coffee at the coffee trader. Something was open, and we're shopping. We're going to the little stores that are around, and we're like, oh yeah, here we go. And we're driving, and I remember I was going north on Lake Drive, and I was driving, and I wasn't speeding or anything, and I was looking over at her, looking at the road, looking over at her, looking at the road, and the most beautiful dog I've ever seen came
know why it's funny.
galloping into the street.
Oh,
right?
no.
And I'm like, no. And I slammed on the brakes, right?
Okay.
And I hit and killed a dog.
Oh,
on Christmas,
no.
Christmas
No.
Eve.
Christmas Eve.
Right, on Christmas Eve, right.
You ruined a child's.
They probably still talk about it
Oh,
to this day.
God.
I
Yeah.
destroyed someone's Christmas.
You did.
And I got out of the car,
Oh my God.
and this is a terrible story. I'm sweating right now.
I
I'm
am
talking
by
about this, right?
natural state.
And yeah, you're sweating. But and I'm looking at the dog, and the dog just
What kind
Oh,
of dog was
God.
it? Was it a
Oh,
little dog?
no,
or-
a golden retriever.
Oh,
Oh
the
my
sweetest
God.
breed ever.
Yeah,
Classy.
it looked like it came from heaven. It
Oh,
just came prancing.
why?
I know. Just
God.
people are like, "Oh, where's Daisy? Where's oh?" No.
On Christmas. God, they had children,
I know.
Well, so what happened?
Ruin it. They're
So
just up.
Well, so we,
Did
we
they-
continued on with our day. Actually,
You didn't like throw it in the
Well,
back. and
wait.
try
Did
and
the
go to-
family come out? Did
no.
you?
Luckily, they didn't.
Luckily,
Well,
What-
you left a dog in the street.
no. A bunch of cars stopped, and the police stopped,
Oh, okay.
and
And they
they
chased you.
were actually well, how fast are you going? How fast are you? And the police, there was an officer. I wasn't speeding, and everyone kind of said no. He had no chance. He couldn't do
It
anything.
happened in an
It was
instant.
A kamikaze
And
dog.
she was
And
Suicide.
we know that you're a dog lover, and like
Yeah.
I want the 7 listeners to know that too.
I am
just
now.
have
I'm
bad
at
luck.
penance. But so, and she's Middle Eastern, right? And her mom was like, "This is a terrible omen. This is a terrible omen." I'm like, "Oh, come on, it was an accident. What are you gonna do, right?"
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
an accident.
That
But so
dog
she
had
stuck
it
it out
coming.
for a while. She kind of hung around, then slowly drifted away and then
Oh,
left town.
She was kind. She kindly ghosted you.
When did
Right.
you meet her mom? Was it that same day?
No, probably within a couple weeks.
It was
Mm.
like that night you had
But
blood
she had
all over
told
your
her
shirt.
mom and dad, yeah. She had told her mom and dad, and then, she's like, "Oh, yeah, my mom and dad said it's a really bad omen." I'm like, what?
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, that was my.
Okay, I'll tell you my other one really quick. A friend
Lee.
of mine set me up on a blind date. Well, not a blind date, but she got me a date with this bartender, I think. And
a bartender for Bernie?
yeah, and I decided we would watch a movie at my place, and we watched.
Rather presumptuous of you.
Yeah.
What was-
first
yeah,
date
well,
movie
that's-
Mm.
Well, my friend
at your place.
set it up. So, I had what's that famous John Waters movie? The
Well, which one?
Hairspray,
Yeah,
no, the one where the
Pink Flamingos.
no,
Babe, Crybaby.
it's the one where it's the one where Divine eats. the
Oh,
poop
don't. Ugh.
And
What
Pink
is that
Flamingo.
one
Is
called?
it Pink
I
Flamingos?
said that
Yeah.
already.
I can't
I
remember.
said flamingos, plural.
Anyway, she had never seen anything like that, and
Yeah, what a
She
weird
was so
movie to
grossed
choose.
out.
Yeah.
that she just left.
This is
She just got up and left.
Both-
Again,
of
you
them.
you
In
didn't
the
tell
middle
the
of the
story.
movie.
I
Well,
thought
I-
you were
I
going
didn't
to.
you're
remember.
full of bad decisions. So you bring her over to your house on the first date, and then show her that.
Yeah, that's
I,
who.
that's like the only movie I had.
You ready for some Full Metal Jacket?
Apocalypse Now.
Wow.
Faces of Death.
I'd love to read
Oh,
your
God.
diary.
The sad part is my friend had to explain why she left. Like I was just stupefied.
You didn't
know? I didn't get
I
it.
think I've turned that movie off.
I mean, there's
He's mine, all mine, ladies.
a particular part in the movie where there's chickens involved, and that was the linchpin right there. But anyway,
Yeah. Sounds like your fault.
oh yeah,
The dog.
another
That
one.
was an act of God.
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell one more. It's pretty short too. So then I'm now a couple of years past, 2 or 3 years past, and I'm online dating again. Now I'm on Match. And I go out with this guy. We've been chatting for a while online, and he tells me he's divorced and all these great things, and we meet for dinner. This actually changed how I dated this date. We meet for pasta in this pretty nice restaurant, and as we're having dinner, he slowly starts revealing all of these lies he's told me. He's not divorced. He's actually still married, and he wants to have an affair with somebody. And, I'm completely turned off. It's like, this is not what I signed up for. I never would have met you if you had been honest from the get-go. And I'm a pretty direct person. So I'm not like a wilting wallflower. So I'm saying, like, how could you lie to me? And you're wasting my time. And he pauses. He's having a glass of wine, and he takes a sip of wine. And he looks into my eyes and he says, you are so sexy. I would love to take you home and lick your armpits.
That's my move.
It was so ick.
Yeah.
And I was
mean,
like,
So you married him and you guys moved him on.
We got
and his
therapy.
name was Bernie.
You
no,
wanna
so-
and I invited her over to watch a movie.
So yeah, that was a pretty shocking. Like, I don't know what he was possibly thinking. I can't imagine anyone, male or
That's-
female.
That's the dating equivalent of a cat call wanting to lick your armpits.
Yeah,
That's a deep dive right there.
That's
specific.
has he kind of like tested that? I mean, that's got to work. Never.
Never.
I don't think
Never.
any of this. I don't think he thinks about any.
He should have workshopped that one a
I
little
mean,
bit.
he lied about being divorced. and
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah, he was like living, his wife was at home. So after that, when I was doing online dating, I said, okay, I'm not going to chat back and forth with these people. If there's mutual interest, we meet quickly. And I'm not going to dinner on a first date. We're meeting for coffee, in and out.
Yeah, pasta seems like a mistake.
Oh, such a mistake. So it changed how I dated, and that was a much better way of dating. Anyway, that's my second story.
The only other issues I had with dating first dates were like, hey, would you like to go out again? I'm busy Monday through Sunday. You're like, oh, I'm thinking, is there a day between? No. There's no days in there for me.
What about Saturday? That would have
She goes,
confused
no,
me.
that's between Monday and Sunday.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
what about Tuesday?
You don't want to see another movie at my house?
And then I started thinking, well, all right, busy all 24
Boy,
hours of every day.
I would love to hear Pat's dating story. I bet he's got.
I'm sure he's on Bumble.
Anyway.
So anyway, you've heard of the 5 love languages, right?
Is that a song?
They came.
Love language.
I only recently heard of them. I'd say in like the last 5 or 6 years, I read about these love languages.
I actually read the book.
in the 1990s.
No, it was after that.
Okay, it was written in 1992.
Volume 2. Yeah.
So I guess somehow it caught on, and now everybody talks about it.
Really?
It was written by the My Pillow guy, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, everybody does. Like younger generations are really into the 5 love languages.
What are you?
Well, if you had to guess from listening to this, you'd probably guess correctly. I love talking. I like words of affirmation, which aren't always it doesn't always mean you're affirmed. It means that you can have deep conversations and feel heard and seen. So that's what I am. That's how I like to receive love. What about you?
Quality time, but it also has a conversation component to it.
Yes, and quality time I would say is second for me. What about you, Bern? I know how you show love.
Yeah.
Acts of service. He's really good
He
about.
flings his feces.
I
Who
do the
does that
dishes.
serve, Dan?
I do the dishes.
He does the dishes a lot, or loads the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Goes to Costco to buy me heavy bags of soil.
Yeah. You know,
Brings me chai.
it counts. It counts.
He does a lot of really sweet things.
But what is he?
How
so
does he like to receive?
Yeah, what do you think, my love?
I don't know.
I also have an idea.
I'm mute. I'm mute.
I think that you, in turn, would like acts of service, but I'm not sure. I don't think you know.
I'm like the Helen Keller of love languages. I'm mute.
I think he's a positive affirmation guy.
Positive affirmation.
Really?
Sure.
High five.
Eh.
Good job, buddy.
I don't know, because I'll say, "Oh, Bernie, this is so great," or about you, and he'll be like, he seems uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's sweating right now.
I am. Are you guys hot or am I like?
Yeah, it's warm in here.
No,
having
I'm
a stroke.
comfortable.
Whew.
How do you think you give or show love?
Same.
Same. What about you? Well, we already know
Terribly.
yours. But so what's weird about this is millennials and Gen Z have expanded the 5 love
And so did
languages.
So they know about this.
Oh
feel-
yeah, they're all about it, and they're all about astrology too. Which for me, astrology is fun, but
I'm more of the Jim Morrison school of astrology.
I don't know what that means.
me either.
I think it's a bunch of BS.
Okay.
That's what he says on
Oh,
the
really?
live album. Yeah.
Oh, see, he's full of all this deep knowledge.
I know.
Oh.
Well,
know.
anybody who's listened to American Prayer, I think. Anyway,
See, and then you give him words of affirmation, and he downplays them.
So they use
I don't know what
they
you
use
mean.
so they add astrology to it.
No, astrology is not one of their expansions. But Bernie was saying, do they really know the 5 love languages? And I'm saying, yeah, they're really into it, and
It
they're
just
also
sounds
into
like a song.
astrology.
The 5 love.
It does sound like yeah.
So here's some more of Gen Z's and the millennials' love languages.
Okay.
Playlist making.
Oh come on.
What does that mean? Just
You know, like when we used to make each other mixed tapes to show our
Oh,
love.
I like that. That's good.
And now it's like, hey, I made you a playlist on Spotify. Sending memes or sharing passwords.
Okay.
Food, like cooking food or
I can see
picking
that.
up
I
somebody.
can also see the playlist one because it shows thought, right? I did that for someone like within the
I
last
did
5 years.
too,
I don't think
but
that's a
I
love
don't
language,
think
though.
that
That's
I
more
would
of a-
say to Bernie during an argument, you don't make me enough playlists.
You know nothing about me, Bernie. You don't even know what type of
Yes.
music I like.
And then,
But he made you a playlist, so he does.
Yeah.
true. And actually, well, I made you playlists in the beginning of when we first started
Yeah,
dating. I
couple
don't think you
CDs.
ever made me one, though. And this is going to sound weird to you guys, but parallel play.
What's that mean?
It means that you sit near each other and you're on your phones doing your own thing in complete silence. Or one of you is playing a video game and the other one is on their computer. So
Okay.
if you can do that together, it shows that you trust each other, you're
What
comfortable.
if you're just both texting someone else?
Yeah. Oh, well, who?
Right.
Who is the question? So when I first read those, I was like, God, these sound so ridiculous.
Parallel play.
But they do reflect how intimacy works now. It's fast, digital, layered. It's
What
different.
about both watching TV at the same time? Is that parallel play?
No, because I think you're sharing that experience
you-
then.
If it's picture in picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe if it's picture in picture. And I personally think that there should be another love language, which is humor or laughing together. I think that has so much value, especially when you're going through something difficult. Someone you can laugh with. Why isn't that a love language, a recognized love language?
I don't know.
I think
Dan's nodding for the listeners.
He's thinking.
yeah. It's
He's
like-
thinking.
well, I think the humor thing. If you find someone you can laugh with, that you can make laugh, that's pretty powerful, right?
Yeah, it's an aphrodisiac.
Mm-hmm.
Is it though? I mean, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I think maybe
What would Jim Morrison say about that?
he didn't have to do anything.
What sign are you, by the way?
Aquarius?
Hmm.
What? I don't know.
I'm Gemini. We're actually
compatible?
Yeah.
Are you sizing me up now? Giving me the old.
I've
Look-
already swiped left on you. a long time ago.
If anyone's wondering, I'm Cancer with a Scorpio rising, and my moon is in Capricorn.
I don't know what any of that means.
And that's actually true. I don't know
Yeah.
what a lot of it means either, but interestingly, my brother, so I'm Cancer, Scorpio rising, and he was Scorpio, Cancer rising.
Huh.
A lot of water and
I think
emotion.
I'm Gemini.
Ooh,
Boy.
that sounds bad.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't sound very fun at all. No wonder that dog.
Well, I
dead.
think what doesn't sound fun. Oh,
Oh, poor dog.
Sorry.
God, that
I moved on.
I had to go.
I'm glad you could. I think I'd still be feeling guilty about that.
No.
I do. I just collect the guilt now and just
Yeah, the reservoir
just
of
push it
guilt.
down, like,
You know, it just.
it's gonna come back at like a big cardiac arrest in about 15
Yeah,
years.
It's
20
like
years.
a huge reservoir.
Right.
Can't think.
Well,
of the word.
what doesn't sound fun though is I don't. You hear every once in a while you hear like little tidbits about how people meet nowadays and
Mm-hmm.
how they and also like the types of relationships people are having. It's not the one size fits all anymore of monogamy. One man, one woman. Everything is kind of all over. Everything's all over the place now.
Yeah.
And I think the world has changed, right?
For sure.
Lives. My mom and dad aren't living the life, let's say, of a typical millennial couple today, right? My mom stayed at home most of the time or worked at the donut shop down the street. My dad went out and worked every day and came home, read the paper, went to bed.
Yeah.
Very
know,
traditional.
Yeah,
For
the
the- for
60s
the-
and 70s
yeah.
dad, right?
At
So-
that time.
You have to think that the world has changed. How are relationships not affected by that? They're probably better in some ways, but
Oh, in
did-
a lot of ways, I think they're better.
how do men and women meet? How do they stay together, and what are their expectations?
And
Yeah.
not just men and women, but everybody.
Right, and
But talking about heterosexual relationships.
when I say
Everything's
men and women,
online.
I'm including all 72 genders in there. it's the spectrum.
The spectrum. And I think there might be more than 72 genders now. I can't keep up.
Can you have more than one gender?
At one time?
No, I guess, yeah.
Oh, that's a different show, probably.
Okay. I mean, there's so many. I would think you'd probably
Just
I know that some of
Grab
the
a bunch.
genders are fluid, and so that you can change between them. So I would say yes to that without being an expert by any means. But yeah, I think most people now do probably. Well, do they meet online? Where are people
I would
meeting?
assume they meet online. I was going to say, what is the equivalent of your eyes meet across the bar? The way everybody
right.
used to meet. Now it's
Yeah. So
They
in the UK, there's a bar closing every day. There's one closing every day, something like that.
okay.
Wow.
Because, well, young people don't drink anymore, or they drink very little. They're all high, right? They're all dropping stuff into their drinks, right? They don't go to beer bars and meet people like they used to.
Right.
So they're meeting online. I mean, I think a majority of relationships start out just over 50%.
Online.
Yeah,
Really?
and so
Boy.
I have friends that date online, and it's really a challenge for them to get a date. They'll-
Male, female, or
male,
both?
male. Yeah, they'll send out a bunch of likes,
Requests or
requests,
whatever.
and maybe 1 out of 50 they get a return.
Are these friends your age or younger?
My age, roughly.
Because I have some friends too who are dating online, female, looking for male partners, and they're also having a really hard time.
But here's the controversial piece of this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So let's take guys like Bernie and I when we were
Mhm.
younger. You can go to a bar and you could be an average guy, right? You're an average
Right.
guy. You come from an average family, but you have an opportunity to connect through personality, sense of humor, whatever. You can win the day that way.
Sure. Okay.
I think it's more difficult now because those places aren't around as much. And there's still some of that, right? College or work. But the online piece, sometimes it's hard to connect before you get swiped left or right. I can't imagine.
If-
the wrong-
I don't know
the
which
bad
one's.
swipe.
Yeah.
If that's the way it's going to work, yeah, that's difficult. It's all
Well, so you
pictures.
can put filters on your
Mhm,
selection.
absolutely.
So let's just talk from, and I don't know, I've never online dated, so I don't know, but I know women can put on height filters or
Mhm.
so
Age
no one
filters, yeah.
6 feet or under can
Oh,
Mhm,
okay.
reach
mhm.
them.
Yeah, you can pick your age, your body type, religion,
So what's happening is,
income.
and this is all, you could read it. It might be true. It might not be.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening is that there's the high value men and women are getting all the attention. High value men are getting more attention
You
than
mean
the
the $1 million man?
the tall, handsome, whatever man. And then there's a big cohort of guys behind him that just aren't getting the dates. And so they're talking about a mismatch. And, because you and I have talked about how women will date. And again, this is all general,
Right, right.
horizontally and up. Men will date horizontally and down.
Mm-hmm.
But as women do better and better and better relative to men, that pool of horizontal and up gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So online dating could perpetuate that trend. But maybe if there was more in person, it wouldn't be as pronounced. I don't know.
Well, right. If it's in person, you still might have filters, but those filters are easier.
Negotiable.
Right, they're negotiable.
Because he's funny, he's kind, he's whatever.
Exactly. But online, if you have those filters, you're not even going to see the person. And it's funny that we're talking about this because just today, one of my friends, a girlfriend of mine, was telling me that years ago, she joined Match.com and she had so many filters. And she's someone who lives in California. She had so many filters that she had 0 matches.
Like the height was 5'2.5" to 5'3".
8 feet 4 inches tall.
And it took a month. I think she said she stayed on for a month and she finally got 1 match,
What?
but it was someone she knew that she couldn't stand.
So what could you possibly? So it's a combination. The funny thing is, there's to be 6 feet or taller is actually a small percentage.
Yeah.
Of
Isn't
people.
it only like 14%
Something
of
like
men?
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that why Trump puts lifts in?
He is not 6'3". That guy.
No way.
Okay.
I think people do themselves a disservice when they put all of these filters in. We know another person who shall remain nameless who wants to date somebody who's of a certain height and left-handed and a certain astrological sign. It's like you can't have all of these requirements. You're selling yourself short. When I was dating online the second time around, I was 39. And I wrote a really good profile. I put a lot of time and energy into my profile, and I had so many responses from quality men that I actually had to create a spreadsheet. And I'm not kidding. Like, these guys, they weren't just these guys that cast a wide net. They haven't read your profile, because for a lot of men, it's a numbers game, and they're just hitting up every woman who's on there. But these guys were like, hey, and they were referencing something in my profile, and they were good men. I mean, they were intelligent. They were funny. They weren't 6 feet tall. Bernie's not 6 feet tall. So I don't know. The women that are putting those kinds of filters in place are doing themselves a disservice. But that's not your point. Your point is that this group of men is being left behind, and
It's really no fault of either, right?
Right.
It's the medium in which they're finding each other.
well, but you
Somebody's
could
probably
argue a
mopping up.
little that if your filters are too rigid,
But if you're forced to sit down, let's say you're a successful 25-year-old woman. You went to
Mhm.
college. You earn a great living. You're attractive.
Mhm.
You're gonna shoot for the stars, right?
Sure.
yeah, but then we have to define what are the stars.
Well, if you make a list, you're kind of defining it by basic metrics. You're using metrics to define the type of man.
I
you
wonder
want.
if that must be
But-
a lot harder
but-
to do in Milwaukee than, say, Chicago or New York.
Well, yeah, those are,
Numbers, numbers.
New York, it's so populated. Of course, you're going to have a lot more responses. But when you're talking about making a list and shooting for the stars, well, a list would be individual to that person. So doesn't that sort of refute your point a woman who's 25 who's shooting for the stars. It's what the stars are to her. But I think you're talking in more general terms of women maybe all wanting something similar, like a guy who's over 6 feet tall, when
Yeah,
only
but
14% of them are.
If you're younger and you look, we know people in their 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the expectations are there. I mean, they could be self-absorbed, self-centered, and their whole world is finding a mate, maybe a long-term relationship, settling down, having a family, maybe, right?
Maybe. I mean, I think that's
But
changing
it's
too.
a big pursuit. It's part of the next step in their life, right? So if you're sitting down like, okay, what do I want? Well, I want a guy taller than me. Okay, well, 6 feet. That seems pretty common. Okay, I want this. So you basically create a bullet point list of metrics that the guy, key metrics that you're looking for. You can't say sense of humor necessarily if your filter is already filtered. You could a lot of funny 5'9" 5'9" men out there, but if you're filtering out, you're not going to meet them.
Right, I agree with that. I'm just not sure how many people are still putting that kind of filter in. I mean, I don't know. I didn't, but
Well, what happened to your friend that used those filters? Did she open up her?
well, first I have to say she thought it was hilarious. I don't know how serious she was. She just laughed with her, and she told her mother and her sister, and they all died laughing.
What about the other one?
Which is the other one?
The left-handed, blonde hair. 6
Oh,
feet
that
tall.
person is still looking. And I mean, that's the problem. That's why I say you do yourself a disservice, because there are a lot of quality people out there. And if you're too rigid on what you're looking for, especially to me, height's pretty superficial. Like, is that really what's important?
Are you sure it's not evolutionary? I mean, there's certain things we're drawn to as men and women that we don't even know. Like, I think it's pretty important for a lot of women to want a man taller than her.
I think there are an awful lot of women out there with men who are not 6 foot tall or taller, as we know, because only 14% of men are. So how did those women find their partners?
They're grabbing that 6 foot number arbitrarily because it seems common when it's not. But if you ask most women would prefer men taller than them. I think there's men can be just as superficial, but it may just be more innate.
Men can be just as superficial.
No,
I would
I
agree
know.
with that.
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is that we might come by it honestly if we don't really examine it.
Well, I'm not sure I know what you mean when you say we might come by it.
Well,
honestly.
it might be something innate in us naturally. As a woman looking for a man, you might look for
So you're saying like evolutionary wise.
right?
They're,
So when it all shakes out, it might look like that, right? And certain men might want certain types of women based on ability to have children, breeding. Who knows what it is, right? And so how does that shake out?
Well,
when
I'll
you're
tell you
looking-
how it shakes out. Birth rates are down. I mean, if it's truly evolutionary and the result is that people are not getting together and birth rates are down, that's anti-evolutionary. That's hurting the human race. We have
birth rates
fewer.
are down, right?
They
birth
are
rates-
down.
But a lot of that can be chalked up to the way people are trying to meet expectations, but also they're not going to college, meeting and starting a family. They're starting careers. They're doing, and women are doing it in much greater numbers than they used
Right.
to.
And a lot of people are consciously choosing not to have kids. I mean, society is changing in a lot of major ways that are affecting where we're headed as a country, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of men that lack a sense of purpose and focus. And if a man doesn't have a sense of purpose, a focus, something to take care of, a family maybe, they could kind of wander.
Right. So traditionally, males were the providers and females were the nurturers. And then in the last 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, women were taught to empower themselves and to get better educated and to go for better jobs. And women have done that, and hooray for women. But males have been left behind. They've been given these mixed messages of, man up, be strong, but is that what women want anymore? I'm reading a lot of articles that say what women seek now are partners that are emotionally intelligent, a partner who can be vulnerable, who can listen to you without necessarily trying to solve your problems, support you. There's a whole list of what women are looking for. And I have it somewhere here.
Of course you do.
Speaking of which,
Speaking of
Apropos.
which, yeah, here it is. So women now, they want an emotionally intelligent partner. They no longer, generally speaking, because women still do date up, but generally speaking, women no longer want to be taken care of. They want a partner who can carry their share, meaning helping to make decisions for the household, sharing in domestic labor, caring for the kids without feeling like, remember when a man would say, oh, I'm stuck at home babysitting the kids.
Is this the 24 and 25-year-old we're speaking of that are online dating, or this is a survey of women of all ages?
I'm guessing it's more geared toward younger women, but although I will say, like, let me take that back, because my female friends that are my age and a little bit younger are pretty much looking for that same thing. The complaints are always like, why do I have to work and empty the dishwasher? I don't have that complaint, but I have friends who have that complaint. They do want a stable life, women, but they want to build it with someone instead of feeling like they're part of somebody else's plan, that they're just absorbed into, oh, he's the breadwinner. He decides where we're going to live, how we're going to spend our money. And they want a respect for our autonomy. A lot of women are choosing to be child-free, and they don't want to be told, like, well, you have to have children. And politics are very important. Women now, especially with Roe versus Wade being overturned, they want a partner who aligns with them politically. If they can't trust you to vote
Sure.
in favor.
You know what the answer is? Because it sounds very complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the answer?
One woman, many men.
God.
Polyamory, right?
No,
Which is
not
being
for me.
Which is being led by women, kind of.
Is it?
Is it?
I
The
don't know
movement
any
is
of this.
kind of, yeah. So you can have all those things. You just can't have them with one
So-
guy.
According to you guys, there's
But you
this.
could have them with one guy. We just have to help boys catch up. Boys in our culture are not getting a fair shake. I mean,
They just need to listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah. They're filling the void
Or what's that?
online.
That Tate guy, he's
Yeah, right.
Andrew Tate,
teaching the kids.
where girls have been taught, were given books at a young age. And I can remember my mom, who was a feminist, talking to my brother about separatism and saying, oh, women are superior to males. And like, what a horrible message.
My sister's a school teacher, and over the last couple of days, I saw her. She's retiring, and I hope she's not listening. But it took me back. I go, because remember you and I were talking about how girls are actually maturing faster than they used to.
Yes.
Boys are maturing slower than they used to.
I'm sorry.
The gap. No, and they
I-
think it might be pesticides. It might be all sorts of things.
Okay.
Right?
Or maybe hormones in the antibiotics they give cows that we
right.
eat,
So
estrogen.
even in the good old days, girls their frontal lobe developed faster than boys catch up, but early on it's girls, right? And now it's actually that gap is even growing due to some other things. And I said to my sister, and boys are coming into school now unprepared because there's less recess, there's less roughhousing, there's less play, because they're trying to get that left side of the brain going earlier.
Huh.
And so that benefits girls because they're able to sit longer. They're able to, they tend to be better students. Boys tend to, play a lot.
Aren't
But-
girls going to college at a higher rate or something?
60% to 40%.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're saying that schools are kind of, they're female focused, right? So I said to my sister, have you ever heard of that red shirting where they're thinking of waiting 1 year to send boys, like send them to kindergarten at 6 rather than 5?
They should.
And she goes, why should they get a leg up? And I go, you're a second grade teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, so what I'm saying, it's hard. It it is kind of difficult to have conversations in general because there's a little bit
Did
of
you ask her?
like what just now now you're complaining because we're doing what? That's not. It's not a zero sum game.
No, I agree with
That's
you.
If those second grade boys are just terrible now, like way worse than they used to be.
Well, I think they're not necessarily worse than they used to be, but
Yeah.
they're medicated now.
Oh.
They didn't use so if you take a regular boy who's rambunctious,
Yeah.
you cut out recess, you cut out gym, and they're hyper.
Both of which
well,
I
then
loved.
Give them Ritalin, right? So everyone has ADD. So little boys are medicated. It's a big issue.
It is a big
It is a
issue, and
strange culture.
you know, I agree with you that if boys are maturing at a slower rate and girls are maturing at a faster rate, there should be girls should start school earlier. I would agree with that.
I
Why
just-
not hold a boy back?
This whole thing, if I'm going to take a step back and look at everything you guys said, there's going to be this island of Amazon CEOs that are like 6 feet tall, blonde. They make 7 or 8 figures, and they're alone because the men don't want them. Men always, you say they seek across and down,
Horizontal
Horizontal
and
and
down.
down. But-
according-
and men are like,
right. And women
So-
normally date generally
Up.
horizontally and up.
so there's
And
gonna
what's
be
that
this-
called? Hypergamy?
Hypergamy, which means
Hypergamy.
they're looking to at least stabilize or improve their status.
So men, generally
right.
speaking, don't date up. Is it
So there's
because
a-
women don't want to date down, or is it because men don't want to date up?
It's not necessarily they.
Well,
I don't think it's
women
necessarily a
date
priority.
down.
No,
Right.
women date up.
Oh,
women
date up.
women date up, which means that men that are not on the same economic social level as women wouldn't be able to date those women.
So the pool.
That's why I'm asking if if men would date up.
As
Well, you
women-
clearly dated down.
What's wrong with me?
No, I mean, so I don't think so. I don't think so. If you break out the, I mean, he's a bit
But
he's a bit of an Ewok. But if you, not
but
much to
isn't,
look at.
isn't
but
there like there is going to be like so women are advancing like just inherently
Yes.
by the system.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot more highly intelligent women that are doing amazing, and there's going to be less men like that.
right, and that's the problem. We're
So
saying like how
some guy could really mop it up if he could figure
Well,
out how to crack.
that's
crack
Dan's
the code.
point.
they talk about that.
Dan.
They're saying that the upper 20% of men are just killing it out there.
Oh.
But killing it means that they're not in monogamous
Right.
relationships.
But they're out there. They're meeting
But is
women.
that
They're having
killing
a lot
it?
of sex. Well, ask them.
I guess if that's what they want. Yeah.
I mean, but and women aren't necessarily quick to lower their standards.
Huh.
Anyway, it's just
lower
a
their standards. See, I know generally speaking, but I wouldn't want a guy. Is it Pat?
No, it's some guy on a double-decker bike.
No,
Oh. It's depressing to me. Like, why would women want to date these players?
Well, they don't necessarily know. I mean, younger women, they're educated men. They make a lot of money.
I
They're
think
extremely
he was
handsome.
Just making a comment. I don't think that's the
No,
actual way it plays out. I think you know,
He's saying statistically that is the way it
but
plays out.
the rich guys are mopping
He's
it up.
emphatically
in
nodding.
the world of online dating, when it comes down to metric based,
Oh, they get all the likes. I guess
they get the likes. So
Okay.
and it would take a lot of swiping for you and I to get likes, and then
Like
not
get
to
a bruise, Dan.
yeah, and then-
I personally think that you guys would both do great online because women that are our age,
I'd have to clean up.
as long as you're willing to date women your own age, I think you do great because women our age cannot find men.
okay, that's
And
the
they're,
other side
I
of the
don't
coin.
think they're looking for the top 20%.
So why would a man
I need 10 fingers.
naturally pursue a woman much younger, right? So that's when we talk about
I don't
women might pursue the big strong
Right.
man, makes a lot of money, he's the protector, he's got resources, security, safety, right?
Yeah.
A man might pursue, oh well, she's younger, more child rearing. It's just they're naturally drawn to something that they don't fully understand, right?
Maybe.
So, but when you break it down and when you take all the emotion, you take all the ability for a man and woman to connect on a human level at a bar, and you're just looking at
Physical
metrics
qualities, yeah.
in a in your bedroom at home when you're setting up your filters, you might lean that way. Is what I'm saying.
Who might lean what way? Men might lean
men
toward
and
younger women.
Men might lean towards younger women. Women might put filters on that they wouldn't necessarily hold men to those standards if they met them in a bar.
But I do think that women in my age group are not as rigid, because I know women who are really trying to meet someone and they're getting scammed
You know why
and
they're not as
stood
rigid?
up.
Older people aren't as rigid because they don't have as much value as younger people.
Well, and they've also already had children.
yeah,
If they own their house, like, it's a different
But they-
game.
not as
they
much tread on
also-
the tire.
They also have the worst experience online dating.
Older women.
Older-
So
Older,
Yeah,
older people in general, but specifically.
I actually looked this up because Dan and I were talking about it a little bit, and I was like, not my friends. And I wanted to know, like, well, what is the actual experience of women 50 and up? People, men and women 50 and up. But
And this is the
first of all, some of these statistics really surprised me. Only 3% of adults that are over 50 have used a dating app in the past year. Only 3%
In the past year.
in the past year. But who have ever used, only
I would-
23%.
I'd like to know how many
From
times
50 to 59, only 23%
That's a
have
quarter.
ever used.
That's millions of
Is
people.
it?
Millions of people.
I mean,
maybe, yeah.
yeah, millions of people, but it just doesn't sound like that many to me.
Yeah, but are they asking people who are already married?
Probably not.
would
This,
like to
this
know how
was the
many
Pew
played
Research Center,
pickleball.
by the way. 6% of partnered adults over age 50 met their partner online. Like you and me, Bernie, we're in that 6%.
That's weird.
Most adults over 50 use Match. But older women are the most likely to describe their online dating experiences as negative. A whopping 57% say their experiences have been negative, while 38% of their male counterparts in the same age group say their experiences have been negative.
Which is a big number, 38%.
Well, it is a big number,
Not-
but it's 19% less than women.
Right.
So they're
51. What,
Yeah,
how many?
but
51.
57.
57% of
So,
women over 50.
You know my theory on that is I think older people are targeted.
You think older
Well,
people
no,
are
this
terrible,
isn't
actually.
just about being scammed. So the complaints are there's a lack of serious intention. So these women are online wanting to find somebody, and the guys, they're looking for hookups. There are scam attempts. There's harassment, like what I experienced, and general fatigue with the process. They're just like, I can't keep doing this. Nothing's coming of it. They have to take breaks and get their energy back.
I try going to a bar 3 days a week, and
Yeah,
that's
well,
also exhausting.
right. About half of online daters aged over 50 say they've encountered someone who they believe are trying to scam them. 45% experienced one of these behaviors: unsolicited, explicit content.
Bernie.
And that's women receiving from
I
men.
only did that with the postman.
26% had someone continue contacting them after they said, I'm not interested. 17% were called offensive names, and 4% received physical threats, like me. And I was only in my 30s when that happened.
Well,
All right.
you were ahead of the
We
game.
probably got to wrap this up, guys. But that was really interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I don't think we barely scratched the surface, but
Oh, God. We didn't even get to talk about LGBTQ. I had some quotes, some
Tell
stats
us an
there,
acronym.
too.
Do you have an acronym?
Oh, okay. FOMO, fear of missing out. Do you know FOBO? Fear of better options. It makes it hard to commit.
that's the other thing.
Is that the
They
same
keep
thing?
swiping. There's
10
always
seconds,
there's
12
always
seconds.
someone better at the next swipe.
Hey,
Sunday.
Sunday is bath
Bath
day.
Yeah. I
If you're
missed last
dating,
week.
go for 2 baths.
Take 2 baths this week, guys. All right, we'll see you
Double
next
up.
week.
It's getting hot out.
That's pretty good, don't you think?
Ears are sweaty.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, Pat, I'm gonna kill you.
Really? I thought it was fine.
You thought it was what?
Fine. I didn't feel like we needed Pat here.
No, I know. I'm still
Oh, that.
Fear of better options. I'm glad
the
you
same
asked for
thing?
that.
Well,
no, fear of missing out.
that's a big part they say that
You
you
can't
can have what
commit.
you see as perfection, but there's always someone better. Right. And young people have a very difficult time being satisfied with this because there's thousands of people out there.
That's like that Devo song. The dog who couldn't choose between two bones and died.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sad song.
Freedom of choice is what you want.
That was good.
I thought it was good.
Yeah,
I
you
thought,
did good.
I get Jim Morrison in there.
I thought our energy level sounded good today.
Yeah, yeah. There are a couple moments, but
An hour is a lot longer.
sometimes.
But
Pat
it
comes
felt
out
it
of-
felt better than the half hour.
Because it doesn't feel so rushed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it goes quick.
Although a
It's just
half
like
an hour
we
is
just had a
pretty
coffee. I mean, I think our conversations during the week help prepare for the show.
I do too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we couldn't do it without that. That's-
We have to do post production.
Yeah, I gotta go to CVS.
You're leaving tomorrow.
Babe, I'm leaving. Must
On
be
the
on
jet
my way.
plane.
Time is closing
Is there no
in.
show now?
Please believe me, my heart is in your hand. You know that song, right, Dan?
What is the next show?
Yeah. Well, one, we just did a show not that long ago, so we didn't have our full prep time, and so I think we did pretty well given that
We have a week to prepare.
we have two. We
have a
do
show.
it every other Monday.
Oh, we do. Oh, right.
Good show.
Oh,
Was it okay?
And I was in tears, man, when I heard Bernie's story of
The finger.
pink
Flamingos?
Terrible.
To your first date.
The
and all that.
She
Terrible.
was hot.
Hilarious.
It was like it was supposed to be like a sure thing, because I never could like get a date. You know, my friend got me hooked up.
He set you up. He told you what pitch he was
it
going
was
to throw you.
was my female friend,
Who was it?
Paula. She's like, you are an idiot.
Is that an okay show?
Yeah,
Oh, you
it was
should have
great.
said that too.
Okay, thanks.